From the sky, everything looks different, especially when it is filled with machines so enormous they seem like living creatures. Some were created for war, others for science, and still others simply to prove that a human being is capable of the impossible. Today, we will climb above the clouds and see 15 of the most gigantic aircraft ever built. Fasten your seatbelts. A flight you will not forget is about to begin. Even the name sounds like it came from a science fiction movie, the Caspian Sea Monster. But this giant really existed. It was created in the mid-60s in the Soviet Union and became the largest and heaviest flying machine of its time. True, it was not exactly an airplane in the usual sense. Officially, the craft belonged to the class of ground effect vehicles, machines that fly at a very low altitude, using the so-called ground effect, when an air cushion between the hull and the surface of the water creates additional lift. It was designed and built for the Soviet Navy to transport cargo and people over the sea surface at speeds unattainable for ships. The length of the monster was almost 302 feet, and the wingspan was 123. Even the tailplane stretched to 121 feet. The Ekranoplan was powered by 10 Dobrynin VD7 jet engines, each delivering 28,000 pounds of thrust. It could fly just 33 feet above the water's surface at a speed of 270 miles per hour, covering up to 930 miles without landing. When American intelligence first discovered this technological marvel using satellites, analysts could not understand what exactly they were seeing: a plane, a ship, or something entirely new. And indeed, the Caspian Sea Monster was unique. However, its fate was short-lived. The only built example crashed in the year 1980 due to pilot error. The machine was deemed too expensive and complex to restore, a project for which no practical application was ever found. The wreckage still lies on the bottom of the Caspian Sea, a silent reminder of a time when the Soviet Union dreamed of subjugating the sky and the sea at once. When NASA in the 60s was preparing for the lunar missions, the engineers faced a question: how to deliver the enormous parts of the Saturn V rocket between factories and launch sites. The solution turned out to be as ingenious as it was strange: to build an airplane with a gigantic bulbous fuselage, which received the name Super Guppy. This machine first took to the sky in the year 1965. Only 5 examples were built, and all of them were intended specifically for NASA. These are the only airplanes in the world capable of carrying the 3rd stage of the Saturn V rocket hole, the very one that sent spacecraft to the moon's orbit. The Super Guppy is 143 feet long with a wingspan of 156. It is powered by 4 Allison 501 turboprop engines, each of which provides a smooth and powerful flight at a speed of about 250 miles per hour and a range of up to 2,000 miles with a full load of 26 tons. A crew of 4 people is required to operate the machine. And although the Apollo program ended decades ago, one of the Super Guppies still flies, transporting large parts between NASA centers. The rest have become museum exhibits, living witnesses of the era when humanity first touched the moon. If we had to choose the aircraft that became a true workhorse of the armed forces, it would undoubtedly be the C-17 Globemaster III. Its story began back in the 80s, when McDonnell Douglas, later becoming part of Boeing, set out to create a new generation heavy transport aircraft. The first flight took place in the year 1995, and since then, 279 such machines have been built. These aircraft are used by the military of many countries and have earned a reputation as reliable, unpretentious, and resilient machines capable of operating even in the harshest conditions. The C-17 is 174 feet long, and its wingspan almost reaches 170. It is powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney F-117 engines, each delivering 40,000 pounds of thrust. With 2 pilots and a loadmaster on board, the Globemaster III reaches a speed of 520 miles per hour and can fly up to 2,700 miles with a full load. It can carry up to 85 tons of cargo, whether an M1 Abrams tank, 3 armored strikers, 102 paratroopers, or 54 wounded soldiers with medical personnel. Thanks to its versatility, the C-17 has become an indispensable element of air transport for the United States Army and its allies. These aircraft have participated in humanitarian missions, delivered equipment to combat zones, and helped in disaster relief. And although there is already talk of its future successor, the current C-17 fleet will serve for at least 20 to 30 more years. When you look at the Airbus Beluga XL, it is impossible not to smile, because it really resembles a huge white whale. But behind this external similarity lies one of the most ingenious engineering solutions of our time. Created in the year 2018 and officially entering service in the year 2020, the Beluga XL became a new generation of cargo aircraft designed to transport oversized parts between Airbus factories across Europe. This model was created on the basis of the previous version, but became significantly larger. The length of the aircraft is 270 feet. The wingspan is almost 198. Its internal cargo hold is astonishing, a volume of 78,000 cubic feet. Two Rolls-Royce Trent 700 engines, delivering 71,000 pounds of thrust each, allow the aircraft to carry up to 56 tons of cargo over a distance of 2,600 miles at a speed of 458 miles per hour. The main advantage of the Beluga XL is its ability to transport two A380 XWB wings at once, which makes it unique among all transport aircraft in the world. Today, 5 such aircraft are already flying actively, and a 6th was supposed to appear by the year 2023. Despite its amusing appearance, this air whale has become a true symbol of Europe's industrial might, an example of how bold design can be combined with practical efficiency. This legend hails from the Soviet Union. The 80s, the Tupolev Design Bureau creates the Tu-160, the largest and heaviest combat aircraft in history, and at the same time, the most massive flying machine capable of exceeding the speed of sound by a factor of 2. It is not just a strategic bomber. It is a whole era embodied in metal. The first flight took place in the year 1987, and to this day, no fewer than 16 of these machines are in service with the long-range aviation of the Russian aerospace forces. A crew of 4, pilot, co-pilot, navigator bombardier, and defensive systems officer, operates a steel colossus 177 feet long with a wingspan of up to 183 feet. It is powered by 4 Mriya NK321 jet engines, each delivering a staggering 55,000 pounds of thrust. Thanks to this, the Tu-160 can accelerate to 1,380 miles per hour, which is approximately Mach 2.05. The range is more than 7,500 miles without refueling. But the most incredible thing is its arsenal. In 2 internal bays, the Blackjack can carry up to 100,000 pounds of armament, including cruise missiles and short-range nuclear munitions. A giant of speed, power, and awe-inspiring beauty, the Tu-160 remains a symbol of aviation might that has conquered the sky. It is hard to believe, but the largest seaplane in history, the Hughes H-4 Hercules, also known as the Spruce Goose, rose into the sky only once. Yet even that was enough to etch its name into aviation history forever. This flying boat was created during the Second World War to transport soldiers and cargo across the Atlantic, when German submarines turned sea routes into deadly traps. The author of the project was none other than the eccentric genius Howard Hughes. To avoid consuming strategic metals used in the war industry, the aircraft was made almost entirely of wood, mainly birch, although the nickname Spruce Goose stuck with it forever. Its length was 218 feet, and the wingspan an incredible 320 feet. The aircraft was powered by 8 Pratt & Whitney Wasp major radial engines, each turning a propeller more than 17 feet in diameter. Theoretically, the H-4 could reach a speed of up to 250 miles per hour and fly 3,000 miles, carrying up to 60 tons of cargo. But this could not be tested in practice. The only flight took place in the year 1947, 2 years after the war ended. Hughes himself was at the controls and, taking off from the water's surface, raised the aircraft to an altitude of about 70 feet, flew a little more than a mile, and alighted again. If the Tu-160 is the embodiment of military power, then the next aircraft is engineering of the future, uniting the sky and space. Stratolaunch is the brainchild of Stratolaunch Systems, founded by Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft. The idea was ambitious, to create a huge aircraft that could lift rockets into the air and launch them into space right from altitude. This giant was built by scaled composites, and in the year 1919, it made its first and so far only test flight. After Allen's death, the project was suspended, but the aircraft itself forever entered history. It is hard to confuse it with anything else. Stratolaunch is built on a unique scheme, with two fuselages, each 238 feet long, joined by a record-length wing, 385 feet. That is longer than a football field. On the ground, it is supported by 28 wheels, and in the air, it is lifted by 6 powerful Pratt & Whitney PW 4056 engines, each delivering 56,000 pounds of thrust. The crew controls the aircraft only from the right fuselage, and the payload capacity of this machine is astounding, up to 250 tons of useful load, which it can lift to an altitude of up to 35,000 feet. Such power is quite sufficient to launch rockets with small satellites right from the aircraft. If the project is one day revived, Stratolaunch could become the beginning of a new era, when the path to orbit starts not from a launch pad, but from the clouds. This is, without a doubt, the most recognizable passenger aircraft of all time. The Boeing 747 became a true symbol of civil aviation, changing the idea of air travel forever. The first jumbo jet took to the sky back in the year 1970, but time does not stand still. Boeing engineers refined their creation step by step. Thus appeared its majestic version, the Boeing 747-8, the pinnacle of the legendary airliner's evolution. This giant was introduced in the year 2011 and exists in both passenger and cargo modifications. Its length is 250 feet and 2 inches, and the wingspan reaches 224 feet and 7 inches. Inside, it can accommodate up to 467 passengers in a 3-class configuration or carry 137 tons of cargo. 4 engines, each delivering 66,000 pounds of thrust, accelerate the aircraft to a speed of 568 miles per hour, and its maximum range is almost 9,000 miles without refueling. To understand the scale of progress, it is worth noting, compared to previous models, the 747-8 version can carry 51 more passengers or take 2 tons more cargo on board. At the same time, it is 30% quieter and 16% more fuel efficient. Boeing claims that it is the fastest commercial aircraft in the world. Such results were achieved thanks to many well-thought-out details, from the extended upper deck with a graceful spiral staircase to the updated LED lighting system that saves energy. Every line and every curve of this aircraft is meticulously considered, and it is no coincidence that the 747 is still called the King of the Sky. Among all the military transporters in the world, the Lockheed C-5 Galaxy occupies a special place. This aircraft is the embodiment of American engineering power and one of the largest airplanes ever built. The Galaxy first appeared in the year 1970. A total of 131 machines were built, and most of them are still in service, although they have been repeatedly modernized since then. The latest version, the C-5M Super Galaxy, is expected to remain in operation at least until the 40s of this century. The dimensions are striking. The length of the aircraft is 247 feet, and the wingspan is just under 223. It is equipped with 4 General Electric CF6 turbofan engines, each delivering 51,000 pounds of thrust. The C-5 can carry up to 140 tons of cargo and at the same time fly at more than 520 miles per hour over distances of up to 5,500 miles. Over its years of service, the Galaxy has carried out missions around the world, delivering humanitarian aid, military equipment, and even participating in space programs, transporting elements of NASA's space shuttles. It is not just an airplane. It is a flying truck of colossal size, a symbol of U.S. logistical power, proof that the impossible is merely a matter of will and engineering talent. When Airbus decided to challenge Boeing in the realm of passenger air travel, the result was the A380, a true sky giant. In the year 2007, it became the largest passenger aircraft in the world and still has no equal in scale. The fuselage length is 238 feet, and the wingspan is 261 feet. It is a full double-deck airliner, designed in a standard configuration for 525 passengers. But if desired, the capacity can be increased to 853. 4 powerful Rolls-Royce Trent turbofan engines provide 78,000 pounds of thrust each. The aircraft flies at about 560 miles per hour and can cover distances of up to 9,200 miles without landing. Creating such a giant cost Airbus about $25 billion, and unfortunately the project turned out to be too expensive for the market. Airlines increasingly choose more compact and economical models. Production of the A380 officially ends after fulfilling the last orders in the year 2021. Nevertheless, Airbus managed to assemble 246 such machines. Even if the era of giant passenger aircraft is coming to an end, the A380 will forever remain a symbol of ambition, human talent, and the dream of conquering the sky in the most literal sense. When the world entered the Cold War era, the United States needed an aircraft that could carry nuclear weapons over vast distances. The answer was the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, a legendary strategic bomber, a symbol of American aviation. Development began in the early 50s, and by the year 1962, Boeing had built 744 such machines. From the moment it appeared, the B-52 was a revolution. It could carry 35 tons of armament and traverse up to 8,800 miles without refueling. The aircraft length is 159 feet, and the wingspan is 185. On board is a crew of 5: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, weapons officer, and electronic warfare specialist. 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33 turbofan engines provide 17,000 pounds of thrust each, allowing the aircraft to reach speeds of up to 650 miles per hour and climb to altitudes of up to 50,000 feet. Once upon a time, a powerful 6-barrel Vulcan gun stood in the tail section, but after the year 1991, it was removed. Today, the B-52 remains an important part of the United States strategic forces, carrying out missions around the globe. It has outlived decades, generations of pilots, and a change of eras, remaining a living reminder that engineering and willpower can create a machine to which the entire sky is subject. The Boeing 747 is known as a passenger airliner, but its Dreamlifter modification is a true cargo monster created for a special mission. The airplane was developed not for customers, but exclusively for Boeing's own needs, to transport large parts for assembling the 787 Dreamliner from all over the world. The Dreamlifter first took to the air in the year 2007, and there are only 4 such aircraft. Each of them is a converted Boeing 747-400 that received an enlarged fuselage with a huge cargo compartment. Its volume is more than 65,000 cubic feet, which makes the Dreamlifter one of the most capacious aircraft in history. It can carry up to 125 tons of cargo, and thanks to a unique rear door that opens entirely, it allows loading even gigantic fuselage or wing sections. The length of the aircraft is 235 feet. The wingspan is 211. However, to increase payload, speed and range had to be sacrificed. With 4 Pratt & Whitney PW4062 engines, the aircraft flies at about 545 miles per hour, covering up to 4,800 miles. Although the Dreamlifter is not intended for passengers, its role in world aviation is enormous. Without it, the Dreamliner's production would have been impossible. Thanks to these machines, Boeing was able to set up rapid delivery of parts from Japan, Italy, and other countries, reducing assembly time manyfold. This is a flying conveyor without which hundreds of modern airliners would not have taken off. The Soviet Union knew how to amaze, and the Antonov N-124 Ruslan is one of its greatest achievements. This heavy transporter, created by the Antonov Design Bureau, first took to the sky in the year 1986, and for 3 decades remained the most massive serial cargo aircraft in the world. The Ruslan served and still serves within the Russian military aviation, remaining the largest military transport aircraft on the planet. Its payload is astonishing, up to 170 tons of useful load. The crew consists of 6 people: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, flight engineer, electrician, radio operator, and 2 loading specialists. The length of the aircraft is 226 feet. The wingspan is 240 feet. In the upper part of the fuselage, there is space for 88 passengers. 4 Progress D-18T engines, each delivering 51,000 pounds of thrust, allow the Ruslan to fly at more than 530 miles per hour and cover up to 2,300 miles with maximum cargo. Pilots note that despite its gigantic size, controlling this aircraft is surprisingly easy. Of the 55 machines built, 26 remain in operation, and many of them have been modernized to current standards. The Ruslan is not just an aircraft. It is an engineering miracle that proved even the sky can be tamed. And finally, the pinnacle of human engineering thought, the legend of the sky, the Antonov An-225 Mriya, which in Ukrainian means dream. This aircraft is a record holder in all categories, the heaviest, the longest, with the largest wingspan among all that have ever taken to the air. It was created at the end of the 80s in Kyiv to transport components of the Soviet Buran space program. The first flight took place in December of the year 1988. The aircraft length is 275 feet, and the wingspan is 290. Its power comes from 6 Progress D-18 engines, each producing 51,000 pounds of thrust. Even with a full load of 220 tons, the Mriya flies at up to 500 miles per hour and can cover 9,500 miles without refueling. Initially, the An-225 was used to transport spacecraft and launch systems. But after the collapse of the USSR, it stood in storage for a long time. Then, with the growth of international cargo transportation, a new life was found for it. The Mriya became indispensable for delivering super-heavy cargo, from turbines and generators to humanitarian aid in disaster zones. This aircraft was not just a machine. It became a symbol of human dream, strength, and faith in the impossible. Every takeoff drew crowds of spectators, and its roar was like music for all who believe that the sky is not the limit, but the beginning. Here they are, 15 titans of the sky, created by human beings to prove that for engineering thought, there are no boundaries. From military giants to airships capable of lifting rockets into space, each of them became part of history, a symbol of an era, and a step toward new heights. So fasten your seatbelts, friends, because many incredible discoveries lie ahead. Do not forget to subscribe so as not to miss new stories about the most impressive machines in the world.